Part 2. Cycling through the 5 stages of grief.
My call. So I had some questions about this accident that I needed to clarify the details of. I'm just going to ask you some very specific questions, and if you could do me the favor of just responding to those with like yes or no, so that I can get a clear understanding of how this accident occurred to be able to determine liability, okay? Okay, so I spoke to the other party. My understanding is that you were at the traffic light and you were in the left lane of 2 turn lanes. Is that correct? Okay, I apologize. I don't mean to interrupt you, but if you could just answer my specific questions. I have an understanding of how this occurred. I'm just wanting to get to the bottom of it, so I just need a yes or no for each of these questions. Okay, so you're in the left turn lane. You made that left turn when the light turned green, is that right? So you would have been in the left of the 2 lanes heading straight. Sir, I really need you to please just answer my specific questions, because the more that you put into the details, the harder it is for me to understand. And again, my job here is to protect you to the best of my ability. And if I don't understand how this accident occurred, I can't do that. So I really need you to just answer my specific questions. Okay, so you turned left. You were in the left of the 2 lanes, is that correct? Okay, sir, I appreciate that you want to give me additional details, but again, that's only hurting the situation. I need you to not replay the story. And I'm sorry, I'm going to interrupt you because I really, really need you to stick to the specific questions I'm asking you. Because again, the more information you provide me, the less clear the situation is. I am listening, but every time I ask you a question, you repeat the entire story all over again, and that doesn't narrow down the information that I need. And I promise that as your claims adjuster who does this every single day, there's a reason behind the specific questions I am asking. Okay, you're in the left of the 2 lanes, and answer me this question, please. Were you going to turn to go north or south on the freeway? Again, the question is just north or south on the freeway. Okay, so if you were going to head north on the freeway, you would have needed to get into the right lane. What do you mean no? So what it sounds like to me is that you're trying to provide the details in the state that in the order that you want to provide them in, to highlight that you feel like you're not at fault for this accident. But again, the more information you give me, the harder it is for me to understand. So I really need you to just answer my specific questions. Okay, so if you're not going to be able to answer my questions without giving me the entire story all over again, I'm just going to have to make a liability decision based on the information I have from you, the statement from the other party, and the points of impact, unless you want to answer my questions. Okay, so if you were going to go north on the freeway, you would have had to make a right to do so. Is that correct? Okay. So if you were going to make a right to get on the freeway, but you were in the left lane, you would have needed to change lanes in order to do that. Is that correct? Okay. So that means that you changed lanes into the other party. Is that correct? Okay. But if you're in the left lane and you need to make a right, you need to then get into the right lane. That's the natural sequence of events there. Correct. And the other party is saying that the reason that you changed at that point is because there was traffic that was backed up, which you also said in your statement when I spoke to you last week, was that there was congestion, which ended up with you being parked on that road. Okay, so you changed lanes, you didn't see her, and your vehicles collided, which is how your vehicle's front bumper was damaged. What do you mean no? Okay. She had no reason to be in that lane. She was also going north. So it doesn't make sense logistically for her to have been the one that hit you when you were in the wrong lane. Okay, so if you don't know the answer to that, I'm going to be forced to take her version of events, and that will place you at fault for this accident. Okay, this isn't really a matter of whether or not you accept the answer. I'm telling you that that's the outcome. That's the sequence of events that makes sense. Your version of things does not lead me to believe that that's how that happened. And I'm reviewing the... Okay, but again, Sir, you're giving me all of these different, like, every time I hear this, it changes slightly. Why can't you just admit that you changed lanes and you hit her? Okay. Well, I'm telling you that based on my investigation and all of the information I've gathered to date, that is what I'm concluding, is that you hit her and you are at fault. So I will be accepting liability for this. No, I cannot pass you on to my manager to discuss that. Because there's no reason to. My job as the adjuster on this claim is to determine liability. That is not her job. And that's not something she does every day. So I'm letting you know, based on what you've told me, that I am accepting liability for this accident. Okay, I understand that you don't feel liable. Unfortunately, that does not change the circumstances. So at this point, you are being placed at fault.